Hi, my name is Jay, everybody, and thank you so much for your patience. We wanted to give everyone a moment to get on. We're inviting everyone from Facebook Live, YouTube, and any other platform to view this listening session associated with the Maryland Parkway Corridor Transit-Oriented Development Plans. So we do have the format for today's listening session, and this is the first of two. There's another listening session from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock today. So if you'd like to participate in that also, or invite friends, neighbors, others that you know to participate in that session, we'd highly encourage that. The format, we're going to do some really quick introductions here of our partners on the project. Then we're going to be showing a video that's a little over 45 minutes long. And that gives an overview of all of the different work that has been done and the recommendations for each of 7 focus areas along the corridor. And then we're going to open it up to comments and questions, and we'll answer as many of those as possible. Any that we are unable to answer during this session, we will post online afterwards with those answers. So with that, I'd like to introduce our project partners, starting with Marco Villada with the City of Las Vegas. If you wouldn't mind unmuting and saying hello, Marco.
Good morning, Marco Villada, City of Las Vegas Planning Department. I'm the project manager for the Maryland Parkway TOD portion for the city.
Great, thank you so much, Marco. And next we have Mario Bermudez with Clark County.
Good morning, everyone. This is Mario Bermudez, Planning Manager with Clark County. Thank you for joining, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Great, thank you, Mario. And last but not least, helping us out from RTC, Danny Fazekas.
Good morning, Daniel Fazekas from the RTC. Thanks for being here.
Great, thank you so much, Danny. So with that, we're going to dive right into that video, and feel free to enter questions and comments in the chat. During the video, we'll be tracking those, and then we'll answer, as we said, as many as possible at the conclusion. Hi, my name is Jay Rinkins. I'm a principal with MIG. We're a planning and design firm assisting the RTC, Clark County, and the City of Las Vegas in the development of transit-oriented development plans for a set of stations along the Maryland Parkway corridor that is planned for bus rapid transit improvements. This is a listening session that'll be posted online, as well as in 2 online live sessions where you have the opportunity to learn more about the plans and provide comments and feedback. Our agenda today is relatively simple. What we'd like to do is present our team to you, talk about the process and timeline. We'll then talk about the overall study area along the Maryland Parkway BRT corridor, address a few other reports that were developed in conjunction with this planning effort, and then the real meat of things will be when my colleagues Andy Rutz and Ellie Brophy provide you with an overview of several of the TOD plans. We will then, in the live session, provide an opportunity for comment, chat, and respond to as many questions as possible. And we encourage you to use the website and other social media platforms to comment or provide suggestions in the meantime. As I mentioned previously, this effort is being performed in conjunction with the City of Las Vegas, Clark County, and the RTC. We are MIG, a planning and design firm that focuses on urban development as well as transit-oriented development. We are joined by a great team that includes Nelson Nygaard for transportation, Purdue Marion and Associates, a local firm for outreach and public relations, Economic and Planning Systems for market analysis and implementation strategy, Anil Verma Associates for considerations around station design and how those implications play out when thinking about development nearby, and Paceline Consulting, another local consultant helping to understand stakeholders, the opportunities that arise because of different ownership patterns, as well as the potential future of the corridor. In this next section, we'd like to give you a brief overview of the process and timeline that we've undertaken to develop these draft focus area plans. The overall intent is to spur transit-oriented development in the Las Vegas Valley after years of study. In essence, there's been discussion about improving high-capacity transit along the Maryland Parkway corridor, as well as other alignments throughout the valley in a lot of different studies and plans. Part of that is improving connectivity. That's a very important component. We want to create opportunities for people to get from point A to point B in easy, affordable ways. And we also want to think about what sort of development would be associated with those public improvements to make sure we're leveraging that investment to the greatest extent possible. In doing so, we can try to maximize community benefit, create new places, and create walkable environments for everyone to enjoy, whether they're using transit or not. We can use this particular project to position several important districts in and around Las Vegas for success, and we'd like to create a roadmap for stitching together existing assets and new destinations. So we're not really starting from scratch. We want to consider the great assets, great amenities, places, people along the corridor today, and then think about how they can be a part of the future of this corridor, whether they work there, live there, go to school there, or play there. The planning efforts around the corridor related to transit-oriented development specifically started over the winter spanning 2019 and 2020. Obviously, we were not anticipating a global pandemic that commenced in the spring of 2020, but we were able to stay relatively on track, complete multiple steps, and are in the final focus area TOD plan stage of the effort, with the review and distribution of the public review drafts, and ultimately the completion and adoption of those plans by the respective jurisdictions. Our very first step in the public outreach was an in-person open house that occurred in January 2020. We had about 100 people attend that event, had great dialogue, and talked about vision, goals, ideal outcomes around every station along the corridor. Unfortunately, we had to switch to a virtual online format from there on out, beginning in May with an online survey. In October through January of this year, there was a map-based online survey, one for each focus area actually. And then June and July this year, we distributed the public review draft plans and are using this video as well as the sessions on July 14th to solicit additional input. Next, I'd like to provide an overview of the Maryland Parkway corridor study area. As I stated previously, the study is not focused on the design of Maryland Parkway itself or the corresponding streets connecting through downtown and over to the medical district. Instead, we are relying on a parallel effort to design the actual bus rapid transit and improvements to the street, and we're looking at focus areas surrounding that corridor. So it actually does extend from the medical district, goes under I-15, connects to the Bonneville Transit Center, up through downtown along Carson Avenue, and then connects to Maryland Parkway and extends all the way south to McCarran Airport, passing Sunrise Hospital, the Boulevard Mall, and UNLV. In total, there are 23 focus areas centered on proposed stations along the bus rapid transit corridor. While it is the ultimate goal to develop focus area plans for each of the individual stations along the corridor, existing resources only allowed us to focus on 7 focus areas. Using the selection criteria on the right-hand side of the screen, we worked with the staff, key stakeholders in the community to narrow down to these 7 specific focus areas. In the city of Las Vegas, the focus areas include a half-mile radius around each station, so 1 mile across, focusing on the medical center station within the medical district, the Bonneville Transit Center on the west end of downtown, and the Charleston Boulevard station along Maryland Parkway. In the Clark County portion of the corridor, which the dividing line is Sahara Avenue, we actually included Sahara Avenue with a 1/4 mile radius. Again, that would be 1/2 mile across for the focus area, Desert Inn Road, Flamingo Road, and University Road. The last piece that I'd like to touch on before handing it over to Andy are just highlighting a couple of the key reports that informed the focus area plans, and we developed these as interim deliverables throughout this effort. Reports developed as part of this project included existing condition analyses for the entire corridor, including all 23 stations. Similarly, we did a market readiness analysis looking at what were the conditions, both in terms of the physical form along the corridor, as well as the economic realities for individual parcels and areas along the entire corridor, which helped us in the prioritization process I mentioned just a couple of slides ago. We then wanted to make sure that transit-oriented development wasn't only for the select few that could afford it. And we wanted to ensure that the development that occurred not only benefited the private investors that would likely make it a reality, but also resulted in a series of community benefits that could take the form of community assets like parks and open space, affordable housing, different amenities that may not be present nearby currently. And so we developed a workforce housing plan to look at affordable housing, workforce housing, and a range of different housing types to cater to a lot of different individuals, families, and households, as well as a value capture toolkit, which would then look at how does the community benefit, both in terms of the formal jurisdictions, but the broader community from the transit-oriented development that would occur. All of those different interim deliverables fed into the TOD plans, or the focus area plans, that my colleagues will provide an overview of in just a few moments. And then to wrap everything up, we've developed a performance measures template. The performance measures are identified as metrics that can be measured over time compared to a baseline to make sure that we're making real progress towards achieving our goals and realizing the visions articulated within each of the focus area plans.
Hi, and thanks so much for joining us. My name is Andy Rutz, and I'm a Director of Planning and Design Services with MIG. We're serving as the lead consultant on the project team. During this portion of the presentation, we're going to provide you some highlights of the recommendations and priority projects for each of the 7 priority focus areas. This first focus area is centered around the medical center, and it extends a half-mile in all directions from the proposed station location. Located west of downtown Las Vegas, the area is currently made up of primarily medical uses with a mix of commercial uses and single-family residential right along the perimeter. Major destinations and landmarks within the area that you might be familiar with include the University Medical Center, the Children's Hospital of Nevada, Valley Hospital Medical Center, Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, the Las Vegas North Premium Outlets, and Interstate Highway I-15. The map on this page represents what we refer to as our plan framework. This shows some of the key highlights from the Medical Center TOD plan. This focus area is close to transit-oriented development ready, but would benefit from improvements to community amenities, infrastructure, and connectivity improvements to better support ongoing development. The type of development that we'd expect to see in this area includes higher density, mixed-use buildings with active ground floor frontages and an emphasis on integrating residential uses into this area. All of this is aimed at helping the area activate itself during all times of the day. This aligns with the vision and the desires that we've heard through the community through this process to date. Mobility and public space improvements are really aimed at enhancing the placemaking along key corridors of this focus area. This includes Shadow Lane, Alta Drive, and Martin Luther King Boulevard, and looks to see how we can find opportunities for public gathering spaces within this important employment district of Las Vegas. For each TOD plan then, we've identified a handful of priority projects that are aimed at improving infrastructure, creating or enhancing amenities, and/or kickstarting development in a way that is truly transit supportive. Think walkable, connected, and convenient for those who wish to use transit. All of this is done in an effort to help achieve the vision expressed by the community for each unique focus area. So within the medical center, our first priority project deals with the intersections along Shadow Lane. The Medical District Master Plan already envisions a really bold future for this area within Las Vegas, and it looks at Shadow Lane as serving as a sort of main street within the medical district. What this priority project is recommending is to really leverage that identity and create a stronger sense of place by picking key intersections along Shadow Lane that can be treated in an extra special way, including wayfinding, gateway elements, perhaps intersection paint treatments, things that really lend to a strong sense of place and identity for the community, but also connect people really intuitively to transportation options. The second priority project in the medical center looks at the eastern edge of our focus area and recommends a linear park along Martin Luther King Boulevard. Martin Luther King Boulevard today is a fairly well-trafficked, automobile-oriented corridor, and an investment like this would help amenitize that edge along Martin Luther King Boulevard to try to make it truly pedestrian-oriented, helping to accomplish the overall goals of making the environment more walkable within the focus area. This would be an opportunity for the city to work with existing and future property owners to identify opportunities with underutilized or unused space in front of the properties along Martin Luther King Boulevard to try to help amenitize this space, again, for more pedestrian-oriented use. Amenities that could come along with this type of investment would be increased tree canopy and shade, the opportunity for a wellness trailhead that would connect directly to the medical district along Wellness Way, opportunities for pocket parks along this kind of new trailhead, and a generous buffer that would allow pedestrians to feel safe and comfortable moving north and south along Martin Luther King Boulevard, set back from traffic. The third priority project really looks at trying to diversify the mix of uses within the medical center focus area. Obviously, within the medical district master plan, the vision for this area is predominantly medical uses. This priority project, though, aims at trying to encourage new development to be really intentional about the mix of uses that it includes along with those medical uses. For example, trying to integrate residential uses above medical uses in an effort to try and create activity outside of traditional working hours and the traditional work week. And similarly, being really intentional about getting uses on the ground floor that help contribute to the activity of the streetscape and provide opportunities for those individuals using the medical uses to spend time outside of either their appointments, their working days, just opportunities to socialize and recreate. Our final priority project within this focus area looks at development and pedestrian comfort and amenities along Charleston Boulevard. Charleston Boulevard in this case serves as the southern edge of the medical district itself, and this priority project aims to provide recommendations for building frontages, heights, densities, an appropriate mix of uses, and the corresponding pedestrian amenities that would come along with that strategic infill to help transform this portion of Charleston Boulevard into a true gateway for the focus area and into the medical district itself.
Hi there, my name is Ellie Brophy. I'm a project manager with the consulting firm MIG. This focus area is centered around the Bonneville Transit Center in central downtown Las Vegas. Currently, this area is primarily commercial, office, and civic land uses. There are also community facilities and a good amount of vacant land, but limited residential options. Major destinations or landmarks within this area that you might recognize are BTC itself, the Las Vegas North Premium Outlets, Symphony Park, the Las Vegas City Hall, Clark County Government Center, and many more. The map on this page represents some key highlights from the Bonneville Transit Center TOD plan. This focus area is really ready for transit-oriented development already, which is likely to be spurred by the transit investment alone. The type of development we'd expect to see in this area includes high-density, mixed-use buildings with active ground floor frontages. This aligns with the vision and desires we've heard from the community to date. There are especially opportunities for this type of development on parcels that are currently vacant or underutilized, especially near the Bonneville Transit Center, as seen on the map outlined in pink. While this area already has a well-connected street network, this plan identifies a handful of corridors as priorities for multimodal mobility enhancements, including additional crossings over the railroad. This plan also identifies potential opportunities for parks and open space within this focus area to support current and future users of the BTC and to complement new or infill development. For each TOD plan, we've identified a handful of priority projects that can really help improve the infrastructure, kickstart transit-oriented development, and achieve the community's vision within these focus areas. The first project within the BTC focus area is BTC and Civic adjacent development opportunities. As seen on the map in pink, there are opportunities to combine parcels that are currently vacant or underutilized and integrate a mix of uses, especially with active ground floors with office or residential above that create an active and walkable pedestrian environment. There's also the opportunity for a TOD interfacing civic space at the block between Main, Bonneville, First, and Clark. A conceptual rendering of that block is shown on this page. The next priority project in this plan includes the parcels along Commerce Street. This is an opportunity for infill development where there's currently vacant land. The vision for this area includes a creative and tech corridor along the rail with potential public open space and additional rail crossings. There's also opportunities at Hoover, Coolidge, and Boulder to connect across Main over to Commerce and increase the pedestrian network. New development is envisioned to be about 3 stories with active ground floors, maybe with different uses such as galleries, makerspace, or breweries. The next priority project looks at enhancing downtown pedestrian corridors to increase walkability to nearby destinations through curated pedestrian experiences. The map on this page shows a variety of different treatments that could be applied throughout the Bonneville Transit Center focus area. These different colors represent different streetscape designs and different characteristics that might be appropriate on different streets. The last priority project for the Bonneville Transit Center focus area is Art District branding and wayfinding. This project looks at leveraging all the recent work and momentum from 18B Art District and continuing to realize that cultural hub character. The plan looks at additional options for amenitizing the public realm with branded elements, implementing a pedestrian scaled wayfinding program, and pairing that with design standards that enrich and preserve the unique character of the area.
The next TOD plan that we'll take a look at is for the Charleston Boulevard focus area. Like the Medical Center and Bonneville Transit Center focus areas, this focus area extends a half mile in all directions from the proposed station location. In this case, the intersection of Maryland Parkway and Charleston Boulevard. The area is currently made up of primarily single-family residential uses in the southern portion of the focus area, with a mix of commercial uses in the north and along Charleston Boulevard itself. Major destinations and landmarks within the area that you might be familiar with include the Huntred Theater, Huntred Circle Park, the Las Vegas Academy of the Arts, and John S. Park Elementary School, among many others. The map on this page represents some key highlights from the Charleston Boulevard TOD plan in what we like to call the plan framework. This focus area is generally ready for transit-oriented development from an infrastructure standpoint, but it would benefit greatly from a few catalytic developments to really spur the market in a direction that aligns with the community's vision for transit-oriented development here in the Charleston Boulevard focus area. The type of development we'd expect to see here would include corridor and center type development to help transition from the downtown and into the surrounding neighborhoods. While this area already has a well-connected street network, this plan identifies a handful of corridors as priorities for multimodal mobility enhancements and specifically for bicycle users. This plan also identifies improvement opportunities for Huntred Circle Park and the adaptive reuse of buildings along the Maryland Parkway corridor to help retain their local character while leaving open the opportunity to evolve into different uses in the future. As you've seen for each of the TOD plans, we've identified a handful of priority projects here in the Charleston Boulevard focus area that are aimed at improving infrastructure, creating or enhancing community amenities, and/or kickstarting development in a way that is truly transit supportive to help achieve the vision expressed by the community for each of our unique focus areas. For the Charleston Boulevard focus area, the first of those priority projects looks at improvements to Huntred Circle Park. This priority project aims to establish Huntred Circle Park as a community destination, both for the surrounding neighborhoods but also for new transit users within the area. And it's important to note that the recommendations within this priority project amount to more than just cleanup. We've heard concerns from the community about safety, visibility, and longer-term solutions look at including security, long-term maintenance, and management both of the park and the surrounding amenities, whereas short-term solutions look at more soft enforcement and directing those that are occupying the park for longer durations towards community resources and social services. The second priority project in this focus area provides recommendations for development near or within Orleans Square, and particularly along the frontage of Charleston Boulevard. This priority project looks at opportunity parcels and underutilized parcels within this smaller geography and provides recommendations on the types of mix of uses, building heights, densities that could help frame a consistent edge along Charleston Boulevard, making it more pedestrian friendly and providing a really comfortable transition from downtown into the neighborhoods. And the final priority project within this focus area looks at how best to connect the nodes that already exist within this focus area to the surrounding neighborhoods themselves. So building off the momentum of the previous project that looked at development and infill opportunities in and around Orleans Square, this priority project acknowledges the existing mixed use and commercial development momentum around the intersection of Charleston Boulevard and Maryland Parkway, as well as along the frontage of Maryland Parkway south of Huntred Circle Park. This priority project then looks at opportunities to connect those nodes better to the surrounding neighborhoods and into and out of downtown, with stronger east-west and north-south bicycle and pedestrian connections. It also speaks to continuing the house-to-business conversion trend along Maryland Parkway that helps retain the unique character within the focus area while still providing opportunities for uses to evolve over time.
This focus area is centered around the station at the intersection of Sahara Avenue and Maryland Parkway. Here we're looking at a quarter-mile radius from the station. The focus area is half within the city of Las Vegas and half within unincorporated Clark County. Currently, this area is primarily commercial land uses with some supportive multifamily residential. Major destinations or landmarks within this area include the John C. Fremont Middle School, City Impact Center, Commercial Center, New Orleans Square, Las Vegas Athletic Club, Smith's Grocery Store, and Baker Park. The map on this page represents some key highlights from the Sahara Avenue TOD plan. This focus area is already supportive of transit-oriented development, but may need catalytic development to spur the market. The type of development we'd expect to see in this area includes mostly retail, commercial uses, and public gathering spaces, with some additional housing. It could have a town center type of feel and serve as a local destination for residents and visitors. A few parcels are identified in pink outlines on the map on this page. Those locations are identified as priority sites for potential improvements or potential redevelopment. This aligns with the vision and desires we've heard from the community to date. This focus area has a somewhat unintuitive pedestrian network besides along the major corridors. This plan identifies a handful of connections as priorities for multimodal mobility enhancements. This plan also identifies the need for parks or open space near the major intersection to serve the community in the area, business patrons, and transit riders. The first priority project within the Sahara Avenue focus area is infill or revitalization opportunities on the southwest quadrant. Recently, the redevelopment agency has been reestablished in Clark County. There are opportunities within this area to develop mixed-use infill with an emphasis on affordable housing, especially on parcels that are currently vacant or underutilized. There's also the opportunity to reuse or redevelop existing vacant buildings. Within this project, we also looked at potential new connections, both east-west to Maryland Parkway and an extension of Market Street to the south, as shown in pink arrows on the map on this page. The next priority project for Sahara Avenue focus area looks at pedestrian connections. This focus area has a lot of large surface parking lots without formal or safe feeling pedestrian connections between the stores and the street. This project has an emphasis of breaking down the scale of these large surface parking lots, as well as enhancing them through pedestrian scaled lighting and landscaping when possible. Also in these areas and along these connections, we recommend signage and wayfinding to support transit riders who may be navigating from the businesses to or from the transit station. The next priority project in this focus area looks at the potential for pad site retrofits or urban design improvements, in particular along Maryland Parkway. This project is written in a way that different properties may reach different phases of design, as color-coded in these graphics and on the map. The idea is to transform these auto-oriented uses to be more transit-oriented and creating more friendly places for pedestrians and bikes. Within the first phase, it could include landscaping and facade upgrades, as well as shade improvements. Second phase could include a drive aisle reconfiguration, seating outdoors, and transparency into the building to activate the pedestrian realm. Lastly, there's the potential for adaptive reuse of a pad site designed building, increasing the capacity of that building, creating a mix of uses, and removing the auto-oriented drive-through. The last priority project for the Sahara Avenue focus area looks at the possibility for redevelopment and public realm improvements in the northwest quadrant. Vacant and underutilized parcels in this prominent location provide both short-term and long-term redevelopment opportunities, should the property owners choose to do so. More short-term potential redevelopment opportunities are shown in an orange outline on this map. Blue outlines represent areas that are more long-term redevelopment opportunities due to existing buildings and potentially requiring the consolidation of parcels. The diagram also shows enhanced pedestrian connections in pink arrows that would create a better network within this area. Any new development in this area is envisioned to be small-scale mixed-use or multifamily with active retail on the ground floor.
This focus area is centered around the intersection of Desert Inn Road and Maryland Parkway, and it also extends a quarter mile in all directions from the proposed station location. Located just south of Sunrise Hospital, the area is currently made up of primarily commercial and supportive medical uses with larger areas of surface parking and a mix of single and multifamily residential. Major destinations and landmarks that you might be familiar with in the area include the Sunrise Hospital itself, Las Vegas Country Club, and Boulevard Mall. The map on this page represents some key highlights from the Desert Inn Road TOD plan. This focus area is generally ready for transit-oriented development from an infrastructure standpoint, but would benefit from strategic and catalytic development to really spur the market in a direction that aligns with the community's vision for transit-oriented and walkable development here. The type of development that we'd expect to see in this area and what's been illustrated on this plan framework map and voiced as a desire by the community thus far would be a mix of uses that supports the medical uses already existing around Sunrise Hospital, as well as a mix of shops and restaurants that nearby residents and transit users could easily walk or bike to and from. The plan also identifies a handful of connections that would help provide safer access for nearby residents to the Maryland Parkway corridor itself. Finally, other recommended improvements include identifying opportunities for publicly accessible private open space that could be encouraged along with new development along the corridor, as well as enhancing the walkability to smaller commercial sites along the corridor itself. As we've done for each of the other TOD plans, we've identified a handful of priority projects within the Desert Inn Road focus area that are aimed at improving the infrastructure, creating or enhancing additional amenities, and/or kickstarting development in a way that's truly transit supportive to help us realize the vision expressed by the community in this unique focus area. Within the Desert Inn Road focus area, the first of these priority projects looks at infill and revitalization opportunities around the Boulevard Mall. This project recommends that as this area looks to develop or redevelop in the next 20 to 30 years, it should be really intentional about finding opportunities to provide additional community amenities. That can be in the form of publicly accessible private open space, a more varied mix of uses, and/or infill development right along the Maryland Parkway corridor itself to help create a more walkable and welcoming environment along that frontage. Importantly, it also looks at providing safer and more intuitive connections across the large surface parking lots and into the neighborhoods to the east, making sure that residents have convenient and safe access to the Maryland Parkway corridor itself and opportunities for increased transit. The next priority project within this focus area looks at how the introduction of new uses could help support the already stable and vibrant medical uses within this focus area. The map on the left identifies both short-term and long-term opportunities for strategic infill centered largely around the intersection of Maryland Parkway and Desert Inn Road. This strategic infill could take the form of medical uses stacked on top of active ground floor uses like shops and restaurants, or in the form of residential and office opportunities stacked on top of medical uses. It could also take the form of a more horizontal mixed use, where an adjacent building that doesn't have a medical use could help support the activity and vibrancy of an existing medical use on the property next to it. Our third priority project for this focus area explores enhancements to transportation opportunities within the focus area. For this priority project, that comes in the form of a small-scale mobility hub opportunity that could be located nearby the intersection of Maryland Parkway and Desert Inn Road. Leveraging the momentum of these two major mobility corridors, a mobility hub would help provide transit users safe and intuitive access to major destinations along each of these corridors. A mobility hub allows transit riders to have safe and convenient access to bicycles, scooters, or other micromobility options that can help make their journey much easier on that first or final mile of their connection to transit. Our final priority project for the Desert Inn Road focus area looks at urban design and retrofit opportunities for commercial pad sites along both the Maryland Parkway corridor and the Desert Inn Road corridor. What this project recommends is a series of phases that could be explored by property owners to help transform what are currently more auto-oriented uses to more pedestrian-friendly and transit-supportive uses along each corridor. Each phase could be accomplished independently and doesn't necessarily presume that each of the three phases needs to be accomplished to make something more transit-supportive. The first phase looks largely at upgrades to landscaping and facade improvements. A second phase that could be explored looks at drive aisle reconfiguration, orienting it more along the parking along the interior of the site rather than along the corridor itself, and providing more pedestrian and transit user amenities like seating and higher transparency along the corridor so users can see the activity that's occurring within the use. And a potential third phase looks at adaptive reuse of these existing buildings, potentially adding additional capacity or additional uses in order to create an environment that really does cater to transit users and walkability along the corridor.
This focus area is centered around the station at the intersection of Flamingo Road and Maryland Parkway in the Paradise neighborhood. Currently, this area is primarily auto-oriented commercial with some multifamily residential. Unique assets of this focus area include the Flamingo Wash running along the northern portion, the proximity to UNLV, and some really high-density housing. Major destinations or landmarks within this area include the Clark County Library, UNLV, and Albertsons grocery store. The map on this page represents some key highlights from the Flamingo Road TOD plan. This focus area is close to ready for transit-oriented development, but needs some amenity infrastructure and connectivity improvements. The type of development we'd expect to see in this area includes mostly retail or commercial uses and public gathering spaces with some additional housing. It could have a town center type of feel and serve as a local destination for residents and visitors. One area on the map, identified in a pink outline along the south edge of the Flamingo Wash, is a priority for potential improvements or redevelopment. This aligns with the vision and desires we've heard from the community to date. This focus area has a somewhat unintuitive pedestrian network besides along the major corridors. This plan identifies a number of connections as priorities for mobility enhancements. This plan also identifies phased improvements to the Flamingo Wash in order to transform that into a public amenity, and the potential for a flexible community space within the currently underutilized parking lot at the Clark County Library. The first priority project for the Flamingo Road focus area is the opportunity for a large-scale mobility hub near the major intersection and near the proposed stations. A mobility hub in this location can improve people's first and final mile connections, especially for transit riders, and provide a variety of mobility options. There's a number of areas close to the station, as well as a little farther out, that serve as opportunities for this hub. Onboard mobility plan from RTC also provides significant guidance for proposed mobility hubs in the Las Vegas Valley. Any efforts as a result of this plan should and will align with recommendations from Onboard. The next priority project for the Flamingo Road focus area is the potential of transforming the parking lot by the Clark County Library into a public space. Currently, the parking lot is underutilized and may be larger than it needs to be, so there's an opportunity to create a multifunctional community space and amenity in this location. Within the orange box shown on the map, that area could be turned into a flexible space or a formal plaza or green park space. The remaining parking would remain in place but could still be used for flexible uses like a farmer's market. It would also be great to connect this area and this amenity more directly to the Maryland Parkway corridor, maybe in an alignment similar to the dashed green line on this page. The next priority project for the Flamingo Road focus area looks at opportunities to improve the Flamingo Wash that runs along the north side of the site and turn it into a community amenity. The priority project takes a two-step approach, first looking at short-term improvements, including outreach and social services to people experiencing homelessness in the area, safety improvements such as lighting, and trash cleanup. Pedestrian and bike connections across the wash would improve mobility over a current barrier and increase activity and visibility, contributing to a safer environment. The second step would begin with naturalizing the channel by removing concrete, adding soil, and landscaping. Along this new naturalized channel, a linear trail running along the wash would serve as a valuable community amenity. The last priority project in the Flamingo Road focus area looks at revitalization opportunities in the northeast quadrant. Following the improvements to the wash that I previously mentioned, this area becomes a prime opportunity for trail-oriented development. This could either be redevelopment or adaptive reuse of the current building. Tying into the new and improved wash provides the opportunity for an additional front door to businesses in this location and the opportunity for new public or private gathering spaces in a pleasant setting.
And the last of our 7 focus area TOD plans is the University Road focus area. This focus area is centered around an entry point into the UNLV campus at the intersection of University Road and Maryland Parkway. And like the other focus areas within the county, it also extends a quarter mile in all directions from the proposed station location. From a land use standpoint, the area is currently made up of primarily commercial uses with a strong educational component and a wide mix of housing types serving both the university and the surrounding community. Major destinations and landmarks that you may be familiar with within the area include not only the UNLV campus and its bookstore, but also the University Gardens Shopping Center, College Town Plaza, and the UNLV Transit Center. The plan framework map on this page represents some key highlights from the University Road TOD plan. Given all of the momentum already generated by the UNLV campus, this focus area is already close to ready for transit-oriented development, but would greatly benefit from enhancements to amenities, infrastructure, and in particular, connectivity improvements to and from the campus and its surrounding neighborhoods. The type of development that we expect to see in this area includes higher density, mixed-use development along the corridor itself, with appropriate transitions to the adjacent residential neighborhoods and the campus. Opportunities for more community-serving amenities and stronger connections to and from the corridor can help the neighborhoods more seamlessly engage and interact with the university campus within this focus area. Within each TOD plan, we've identified a handful of priority projects that are aimed at improving infrastructure, creating or enhancing amenities, and/or kickstarting development in a way that's truly transit supportive for the rest of the focus area in an effort to help achieve the vision expressed by the community. For the University Road focus area, our first priority project looks at the UNLV Transit Center and lots U and H and their potential for redevelopment just south of the transit center itself. This priority project recommends a mobility hub in this location that includes iconic architecture and a major public space amenity to help it serve as a gateway into campus and allow surrounding residents who are using transportation to feel more welcome engaging with the campus environment. The second priority project for this focus area responds to an identified need along the corridor and in particular within this focus area. That need is for supportive workforce housing and student housing. This priority project outlines opportunities for partnerships and incentives to help blend flexible housing types and configurations, incentivizing a mix of graduate students, non-university community members, faculty, and staff living and gathering together. This type of development can accommodate a variety of different unit sizes and can also incorporate services and community open spaces that serve both university users and the broader community. The next priority project within this focus area looks at the development potential of an underutilized parcel just north of Del Mar Street with frontage along Maryland Parkway. The project identifies the potential for a dense, mixed-use development of about 6 stories that could include transit-supportive housing with a reduced emphasis on parking. A development of this type would encourage new residents to leverage their proximity to transit and become frequent transportation users along the corridor. The project recommends that a development like this could best be delivered through a public-private partnership with the university, helping to accomplish both housing goals along the corridor and providing the university opportunity to expand their square footage and use needs with a presence along Maryland Parkway. The next priority project within this focus area looks at connectivity between the UNLV campus and the surrounding neighborhoods, identifying a specific connection potential from University Road moving east into the neighborhoods by way of a pedestrian alleyway. This priority project also explores north-south connectivity along Deirdre Street, recommending new sidewalk and safety infrastructure, providing crosswalks, landscaping, murals to provide a welcoming and safe gateway to and from Maryland Parkway. And our final priority project for the University Road focus area employs a strategy that we've used for other TOD plan focus areas in this effort. The project looks at urban design opportunities and retrofit opportunities for commercial pad sites directly adjacent to the Maryland Parkway corridor. This project suggests a range of different phases of design intervention or enhancement, ranging from enhanced landscaping and facade improvements to increased seating and opportunities for pedestrian amenities, all the way to adaptive reuse potential and the opportunity for additional capacity through expansion of the existing use. Each of these strategies is aimed at helping to transform what are currently more auto-oriented uses to more pedestrian-oriented and transit-supportive places.
So I'd like to conclude just by thanking you all for taking your time, whether you're watching this online via one of our social media platforms or visiting the live Zoom event. Your input and feedback is critical in ensuring that the focus area plans for transit-oriented development along the Maryland Parkway corridor truly reflect the community's vision and desires and result in real positive change for the Valley. Thank you very much. All right. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed the video. There's a lot of content there. As we said, we did do work along the entire planned corridor related to transit-oriented development, and then actually developed 7 distinct plans for the 7 stations that were chosen that you just heard about. During the video, we did receive some chats, some different, primarily comments, I think, at this point. But if you have questions about anything that you just saw, if you had a chance to review the documents, we'd encourage you to enter those into the chat, and those will get to us and we'll respond to those. Or if you just have additional comments, that's great too. So first one that we received was actually from Aaron, and he was recommending 3-section bi-articulated buses. I think he said bi-artics in the comment, and Marco had to help us figure out what that meant exactly. So that is a bus with basically 3 sections, 2 articulated portions, and so very train-like. And I think, Marco, you were mentioning Curitiba has an example of those.
Yes.
All right. So one clarification, the work that we're doing right now and what this meeting is about is specific to the development along the corridor. There is a process also underway to design the BRT bus rapid transit improvements along with streetscape improvements. So we'd highly encourage you to track that process also and plug in if you have other specific recommendations on either the vehicles or the platforms or anything like that along Maryland Parkway. The next one is from Rob, and there's a few from Rob throughout there. So one was just supporting more transit along the corridor, which is great. Another, and I think this probably relates to kind of Sahara and the stations that we focused on south of Sahara, support for turning those huge parking lots into transit-oriented development apartments. Rob also mentioned bicycle highways, and although not related to this specific project, mentioned the need for a bike lane down Las Vegas Boulevard because it's not, that is too dangerous today. Support for turning the wash into trails, which was one of our priority projects for the Flamingo area. And then also removing golf courses, or at the very least, if we keep them, maybe putting some public trails through them. And then I'm seeing that Marcia just weighed in and says that she hopes that Tenaya Way Medical Corridor will be next. So we'll definitely make a note of that, Marcia, thank you. So any additional comments or questions? We have folks from the city, from the county, from RTC if necessary, to at least record those comments, if not respond. Mackenzie and myself are ready to respond as well. And we will, oh, here's another one. So Erica asked, what kind of marketing and outreach is being or will be done to reach the community in the project areas? So I don't know, Danny, if you want to respond related to transit specifically, or if you're able to, or maybe Lynn can. But related to the transit-oriented development, in essence, when a development project occurs, there's notification to nearby residents. So right now, this is just a plan, kind of setting the stage. But any actual development that would occur, there would be an opportunity for the community to weigh in, whether that be if there perhaps there'd be a rezoning process, but at the very least, there would be some sort of a approval process around that where community members could comment. Danny or Lynn, anything you would want to say on the transit corridor improvements and what other type of marketing outreach are being done?
This is Danny. There's, again, and I think you mentioned it, Jay, there is a separate process just starting up on the engineering side and the BRT design team. There will be an engagement process starting up fairly soon to provide comment and from the people along the corridor on how that BRT design will look. Again, that will be strictly on the BRT transit portion. It will not be anything about land use. So again, you mentioned RTC is strictly helping coordinate the TOD portion. This is a land use plan with City of Las Vegas and Park County. When it comes to the design of the BRT, obviously RTC is running that, wants comment and direction from Park County and City of Las Vegas as well as the community. That will be, I assume that's going to be starting in the next couple months.
Great, thank you.
And I can get additional information from that design team if anyone wants it. I can reach out to them and get you specifics in the next few days.
Great. And I don't know if there is a link currently on the TOD plan portion of the RTC page, but we can, as that becomes available, we could link to the BRT design portion of the corridor. Erica also says, thank you, that her mother rides transit weekly and uses the Sahara Maryland Parkway route several times a week. So excited to share more. Thank you so much, Erica, for participating. That's all we have so far for comments or questions. Again, via whatever platform you're on, Facebook Live, YouTube. If you do have other comments or questions, please put those in there. We've advertised this for 2 hours, so we will be hanging out for another 55 minutes in case someone joins late, or maybe they're actually looking at the plans on the website and they come up with a question. But I just wanted to point out on the RTC website, on the portion of the page or of the website devoted to the TOD plans, there is a comment form on there and a link to each of the plans. So that is something that you are highly encouraged to check out, and we would definitely invite your comments. There's definitely time to influence the final plans that will go before Clark County and the City of Las Vegas for adoption. All right, so we're going to put up a placeholder slide on the feed. We will return in about 10 minutes to respond to any additional comments or questions that come in. Hi, everybody. Thank you. We have not received any additional comments or questions during that 10-minute break. So we will put that screen back up again if there's any additional comments or questions before 11:30. We will answer those. Otherwise, we'll conclude the session at 11:30. We'd welcome you back for the evening session, or again, 2 additional opportunities. Promote the evening session from 5 to 7 to others, or go online to the RTC website and provide your comments there, hopefully after getting a chance to look at one or more of the focus area plans.